Hey, what's up, everybody? Josh and Alisha with Terradrift. This is our very first podcast. And if you're watching this right now, it means that it must have gone okay. So, first of all, I must apologize for how janky our setup is. It is our first podcast. This is all kind of hobbled together. So hopefully sound quality is okay, that sort of thing.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And if it's not, you can deal with it.
So basically what this is going to be, we're not sure how often yet. It could be weekly, could be monthly, but we're just going to compile a bunch of topics from the outdoor industry, whether it's things that have happened in national parks, things that have happened to people in national parks.
Survival tips and stories.
New gear that's out.
Cool new sustainability news.
Any one of those things. New exciting news from Terradrift. Things that we've written or experiences we've had. So that's what it's going to be. So I don't know. Do you want to start us off with a topic? Do you want to talk about the Fjallraven Classic that you just got back from?
You know what? I will talk about the Fjallraven. I trip over this word every time. Here's the thing, guys. Depending on where you're from, the brand Fjallraven is pronounced differently. So in the U.S., the brand staff pronounce it Fjallraven, and that's Fjallraven, okay, with asterisks and accents is what I mean. In Sweden and Europe, you're more likely to hear something along the lines of Fjallraven, which I probably still butchered. I'm really sorry about that. I don't speak Swedish yet. So
okay.
Forgive me, please. It's just one of those languages that Americans often have very difficult time with pronunciation because the sounds are all very different. And that's okay. But anyway, I did just get back from the Fjallraven Classic USA, which is a group backpacking event. I had little to no knowledge of it prior to actually participating. I had seen an ad years ago for the Fjallraven Classic in like an Outside or Backpacker magazine or something. And I remember looking at the little booklet that came with my magazine and thinking, what is this? This sounds cool. That's all I knew about it. So when I was invited to participate as media, I looked it up and I was like, yes, please. I would like to do that. It's basically, like I said, a group backpacking trip. It's not so much a guided, like commercial backpacking experience like you might sign up with a guide company or something like that. It is more of a supported, independent backpacking trip with 160 of your closest friends. Now, they do these events all over the world. There's one, and obviously the first one was in Sweden, makes sense, right? It's a Swedish brand. Germany, South Korea, Denmark. I think they're starting to plan one in South America, which is really exciting. USA, and I think that might be it. Were there any other ones?
It looks like, let's see, we got UK, Denmark, Germany, Sweden, USA, and Korea.
UK is the one I missed, yes. Yeah. So that was in Scotland this year. Anyway, so I participated in the USA one. It's a 3-day event, and we went, I think, about 36 miles in 3 days in the wilderness of Colorado. We were in the Theodore Roosevelt Wilderness and the Rawlins Pass area, and tackled several thousand feet of elevation gain in those 3 days, swam in alpine lakes, and just had a blast. And now I explain this as a supported sort of independent backpacking trip. What I mean by that is it's not one of those things where you hire a guide company and they like lead you up and you're all together in a group and you're hiking at the same pace and, you know, they pitch your tents for you or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. This is more of a organized, okay, here's the route. Here's where you're going to be camping. We're going to have water for you at each of these checkpoints and at each campsite in case you don't want to filter your own. And we'll have like a medic standing by, but hike at your own pace and we'll see you when you get to camp. And then once you get to camp, everybody's just camped out there. In the USA version, they split the about 160 participants in two so that half was hiking. Like we started on Wednesday and the second group started on Thursday. So you kind of had it staggered. We weren't 160 people in one campsite every night, but it was really fun. Once you got to camp, you were just like hanging out with people, making new friends, asking them where they were from. And I was curious what kind of people actually signed up for this. And basically everyone is the answer to that. I mean, they were like brand new backpackers. I was chatting with people. This was their very first backpacking trip, which, oh my gosh, like so exciting. So I was chatting with them. I chatted with people who have done multiple Fjallraven Classics around the world that travel specifically to do these backpacking trips. And so it's for experienced backpackers also, but it makes a really great way to sort of be introduced to backpacking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're not sure you're quite ready to go it alone yet and just like set off in the wilderness, you want to make sure you're prepped, you know what to do. You know how to treat a blister and leave no trace and all of that stuff. It's a great way to do that, which is kind of what Fjallraven is after. Their goal is like get more people to get out and walk with nature. And they're really putting their money where their mouth is right here by making these events so accessible. I mean, if we're talking price-wise here, I believe a ticket is $200. And now they do sell out like instantly. So
I mean, for $200, that for sure.
Right? And that's a very accessible price point for a basically guided backpacking trip, like an organized backpacking trip. So you got to get on that wait list like ASAP. You got to sign up for that newsletter and get notified the minute those tickets drop if you want to do one of these, because they're very popular, just like, I mean, all of them, not just the USA. But it was really fun. I had a good time. I spent several days pooping in wag bags. So that's cool. Because here's the thing. When you have that many people trotting the same stretch of trail and camping in the same campground all together at the same time, that's a lot of cumulative impact. So the Forest Service said, please don't have 160 people digging holes in one designated camping area. Like multiple days in a row.
Yeah, doesn't sound good. Yeah.
No. That's too much poop. Too many cat holes. So the Fjallraven provides everybody with wag bags and meals, by the way, and a Grail water purifier and filter, which we've reviewed before and are great. But a backpacker's pantry meals as well for every meal. So all you need is right there. And, the wag bag, it's an experience. If you've never done it before, I don't know, it's pooping in a bag. What else can I say about it?
Yeah, it's literally what it is.
It's about as pleasant as it sounds. Honestly, I'd rather dig a cat hole. But you when the Forest Service says do this, you do this. Okay, don't argue with the U.S. Forest Service.
Yeah, we actually have a video on pooping in the woods that we'll put in the show notes, and you can check that out if you're not terribly familiar.
It is very important to get right, though.
Yeah. And as far as the Classic goes, their website says that tickets open, they open up for tickets sales in April. So check back their website for that. It's classic.fjallraven.com. So we'll put that in the show notes as well.
Mm-hmm.
So very cool. Yeah, one of the many trips that I didn't get to go on with you.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Josh. Yes, this was a the only media invited were women. So
yeah, so there you go.
which is a blast. I've gone on 2 female only media trips this year, backpacking trips specifically. To be clear, the Fjallraven is not a women's only trip ever. It was just the media group that was going to be on the trip. All of the media that were invited were women.
Yeah.
And I went on a similar trip in the spring with Stillhouse Whiskey, which was a blast because, guys, peanut butter s'mores whiskey. That's a thing that exists. Stillhouse makes it. I am not a whiskey drinker. If you are, I don't know, it may not be for you, like the flavored whiskey thing, but I definitely prefer it to like, what's the other peanut butter whiskey?
Oh,
Screwball.
Screwball, yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely prefer Stillhouse to Screwball. Just FYI, if you're into like flavored whiskeys, that peanut butter s'more, let me tell you what. Anyway, a women's only backpacking trip with a bunch of other journalists, it's a blast. Okay? I'm just saying. You don't need to be a journalist. Grab some of your lady friends, go on a backpacking trip. It's always a ton of fun.
Absolutely. And before we go to our next topic, I just wanted to mention that we've officially hit whatever threshold so that we can start selling our products underneath our videos.
Woohoo!
So if you notice underneath this video, you'll see some stickers, you'll see t-shirts. There's actually a lot more of that products than what you see right there.
Beanies.
Yep, beanies, hats. Just click on the Terradrift store link right there, and it'll take you. You can see all the products. And this I'm actually wearing. You can't see it because I'm behind a laptop, but this is I'm wearing one of the shirts right now.
There he is. It's a good design.
Cool.
I'm partial to the Powered by Plants one personally. But
Yeah, Powered by Plants is cool. Yeah, check those out. And with that, we will go to our next topic. I guess I'll do this one since this is the next one. So here, this isn't really news or anything, but it's something that I think we should talk about. Signaling for help. This article that I'm referencing is by Jesse Krebs on backpacker.com. And the title of it is Signaling for Help is the Most Important Survival Skill. And I don't know.
Survival skills. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a survival skill that you should have. Like, you should know how to signal for help if you're going into the backcountry at all.
It's a good idea.
It's an excellent idea. The question for me is, at what point do you get like a Garmin communicator, like to signal for help via GPS or whatever? Or now that, iPhones have GPS signaling for emergencies, is that something you need, or at what point is that something you need?
I will say, we do not have a Garmin InReach or something like that.
No.
We have not invested in that or purchased one yet. I see a lot of people. In fact, I saw during the Fjallraven Classic people with them clipped to their packs, which I thought was exorbitant based on the fact that there are multiple checkpoints here and someone is always keeping tabs on you and where you are.
There are guides.
There are guides.
Yeah.
There are medics. Like, you are never more than 5 miles away from a checkpoint. Like, that's as far, I think, as the checkpoints were. And people still had these on. I'm like, you're hiking with a group of people. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I find them excessive for most hikes where there's not like a danger of avalanche. You're not really in the wilderness, like far from people, if you're mostly near a Jeep road and things like this, I don't know, like that sort of thing. I'm just saying, if you're hiking with people in state parks, national parks, designated trails, a Garmin InReach may not be entirely necessary.
Yeah, and just to clarify, so this particular article we'll link to in the show notes, but it's talking about not just electronics signaling, but signal mirrors, CDI markers, strip signals, just lights in general, like flashing lights to signal fire signals, just anything that you can do to signal for help. And
do be very careful with fire signals, because someone just earlier this year was, I think, convicted for starting a wildfire in Arizona, I want to say. Like several $100,000, I think, for starting a wildfire because he was lost. So be very careful.
Yeah, these
with
days,
signal fires.
Signal fires are there are very few places you can safely do a signal fire. But yeah, like you were saying, electronic signals, they're very expensive, first of all. But
although I will say, if you're hiking solo and you're going very long distances, if there are people trying to keep track of you, I'm thinking, like if you're hiking one of the long trails, PCT,
out in the middle of nowhere,
like you're really going into the wilderness where there are no roads, not a lot of other hikers, get one. Like there's no reason not to. Save up some money and buy one. They're not a cheap piece of equipment, but like be safe. I would never tell you not to get one.
Yeah. So avalanche areas, if you're hiking by yourself in the backcountry where you're probably not going to see anybody, if you're in an area with a lot of dangerous animals,
true story,
by yourself.
You should also know about me that I am a risk taker. I do not have a healthy sense of fear. So I will always be the first one to like roll the dice and be like, I'm sure it'll be fine. So maybe do what I say, not as I do.
Yeah, Alicia's a little bit crazy. Sure.
No arguments.
All right, so with that,
speaking of dangerous animals,
would you like to read our next article, our next topic?
Yeah, it looks like, I guess either one here. I said something about animals, but actually on our list here was to talk about the hiker who died in Death Valley just recently here when temperatures reached 121 degrees Fahrenheit. That's very hot. Josh and I have hiked, been backpacking when it has been that hot. We have been in the bottom of the Grand Canyon when I think in the sun, the thermometer topped out at between 125, 130?
Yeah, about 130 degrees.
Yeah, that is stupid hot, guys. If you've never experienced 120 to 130 degrees, it's ridiculous. It's almost unbearable. And first of all, like, let's just say straight off the bat, like, this is tragic. And it's such a bummer that this happened. Obviously, feelings, thoughts, prayers for the family. That is a very difficult thing to have to deal with. And they presume, I think at this point, that it was heat illness.
Yeah.
And it was, the man's name was Steve Curry, 71 years old. And he had just finished hiking, and it sounds like he was totally kitted out. He had his sun hat, like he was prepared. And sometimes these things just happen. I know as outdoorists, we like to think that because we're always prepared that nothing is going to happen to us. Like as long as you have enough water and you have your sun hat, your sunscreen, whatever, that you'll be fine. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And it is really sad news for this family. And Yeah.
Sometimes your body just doesn't want to cooperate.
Sometimes.
There are certainly things you can do. It's impossible to say, without some kind of further medical examination, like, was he actually hydrated or anything like that? Like, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But generally speaking, I'm just going to say if it's 120 degrees, you probably just shouldn't be hiking.
It's very hot. And if you are, maybe like we mentioned, we have been in the bottom of the Grand Canyon when it's been that hot. We made sure that we were done hiking by like peak heat of the day. I mean, we got up, I think, at 4:30 a.m. one morning, or 2 mornings, to start hiking so we could be done by noon.
And when we were down at the bottom, we had like an ice cold, the creek that's going through the canyon there. You could just sit in it and cool off and be in the shade underneath some trees.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that was smart.
I still would not recommend.
I would not recommend doing that.
It's too hot. If you're going to hike to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, don't do it in the summer.
Yeah, there were actually, on that trip to the Grand Canyon, there were at least 3 or 4 helicopters that came down into the canyon and
in the 4 days that we were backpacking
and pulled people out because of heat-related illnesses. And it was mostly because they were not prepared with electrolytes. They were drinking tons of water, but they were just flushing all of the electrolytes out of their body because I don't know if they just didn't know better, or, I mean, obviously, I guess that's, if you're not drinking electrolytes, you don't know better, I guess. But, yeah, it's just not a good situation when it's that stinking hot out.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to think, right, that it'll be fine, you'll find some shade, whatever. But hydration is definitely so important, and definitely take heat seriously. It takes a lot of people every year. So a fun fact, I just wrote an article for Popular Science about hydration and electrolytes. And if you are recreating outside this summer in really warm temperatures, even if it's only like mildly warm, like 80s, 90s, it's been almost 100 here in Northwest Arkansas for like a week. It's so hot and humid and gross. You need more than water if you're exercising or hiking or backpacking or whatever for more than about 60 to 90 minutes. So after that point, you need more than water because your blood needs to have the correct salt concentration. And if you're just drinking water, but you're perspiring a lot and losing all that salt through perspiration, your blood salt level is getting thinned out, and that's no good. That leads to hyponatremia, and you can die from drinking too much just water. So make sure that if you're out there for more than an hour, hour and a half, you're also drinking some electrolytes, whether that's like Scratch Labs type stuff, which is delicious, by the way. I love Scratch. Or whether you're making your own electrolytes. I mean, really, honestly, all you have to do is add a pinch of salt to your water. Like, there's no excuse for not having electrolytes just because you couldn't afford like the expensive, nice stuff, or you didn't happen to have like Gatorade powder on hand. Literally just salt is all you need for most adventures. So take some of those salt packets from the fast food restaurant you ate at last week. I don't know. And then boom, add it to your water, or just pound salt packets. Like, there you go. You're done. Just make sure you're staying hydrated out there. And be safe. Have fun. It's hot. It's gross. I don't like it.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is that kind of at the end of the article, they actually reference an older article by Corey Buhay, I want to say. But they're just talking about how at temperatures around 100, 110 degrees, pilots often leave behind equipment so that their aircraft weighs less, so they can actually take off. And if the temperature is above that, they start declining missions. So in extreme heat like that, they might not even be able to rescue you if you're suffering from some kind of heat-related illness.
Which is crazy.
And Death Valley National Park went on to say symptoms of heat stroke include throbbing headache, dizziness and lightheadedness, lack of sweating despite the heat, red-hot dry skin, muscle weakness or cramps, nausea and vomiting, rapid heartbeat, either strong or weak, rapid, shallow breathing, behavioral changes such as confusion, disorientation or staggering, seizures, and unconsciousness.
That is a lot of
That's a lot of symptoms, yeah.
Basically, if you feel weird
Yeah.
at all, something feels off, sit down in the shade, get yourself some electrolytes.
Which at 120 degrees, that can happen very quickly. So again, try to avoid going out in those temperatures. If you, for whatever reason, you're just like, I gotta go to Death Valley and it's summertime, go first thing in the morning because that's when it's gonna be coolest, like really early before the sun comes up.
Yep. Or you know what I'm a fan of and don't do often enough? Night hikes.
Night hikes.
Yes, get yourself a headlamp or two. Make sure those batteries are charged.
But right before the sun comes up, it's probably gonna be right now, probably around 100 degrees. So it's still going to be stinking hot, but not as hot as it's going to be in the middle of the day. So.
Right, because first thing in the morning, the ground has had the longest time to be able to cool down because there's not been any sun on it for, like 8 hours. So, or however long darkness lasts where you're at. But anyway, heat aside,
let's move on to our next topic. And it is, a woman was attacked and killed by a grizzly bear near Yellowstone. A hiker found the woman's body on a popular trail near the national park.
Ugh.
This is really...
It's
sad.
just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It really, really is. Like for everyone. And Adam Roy wrote this article for Backpacker about this little piece of news. But first of all, terrible, obviously, for the victim and her family. I mean, that's so just tragic. But like also, I hike a lot, and I genuinely hope I never am the one to find someone who's been attacked by a bear. I also feel very much for that person, but I'm looking for the woman's name because the article calls her maybe it hasn't been released yet. I hate referring to someone just as the victim because they were a person, right, with family and ambitions. But I don't see the woman's name, so it might not have been released to the public yet.
Yeah, so the big story here, other than the actual incident, is that this seems to be a case of someone that was unprepared for a bear attack, which if you're in or around Yellowstone, you absolutely 100% of the time, no excuses, need bear spray. Or, and I say or,
you need bear spray, that's all.
Yeah, I don't really mean or, but you need, I was going to say you need a firearm, but you always need bear spray. And then you could carry a firearm on top of that, but that's like a whole nother topic.
and I would say no to the firearm though, because here's the thing. You are actually, studies have been done. I have interviewed bear biologists on this. You are twice as likely to be a victim of a bear attack, like receive violence from a bear, if you used a firearm instead of bear spray. That's twice as likely to be injured by a bear if you tried to use a firearm instead of bear spray. So bear spray is absolutely the most effective tool for repelling bears. Just putting that out there. You know it's not effective? Bear bells. Stop buying them. They're a waste of money. They don't work. That's science.
That is actually part of a myths video that we did that I'll also put in the in the show notes.
Yes. Studies have been done. But
yeah,
back to the incident.
So officers did not find bear spray or a firearm on the woman or in the area. And
which is such a bummer because, I mean, like, how many times have I been like, I'm sure it'll be fine. And I just go out for a short hike when maybe I should have, or I just like wander off to the bathroom without my bear spray when I'm backpacking. So it's such a bummer. And I'm not going to get hung up on that because, like, I'm not blaming this woman for not having bear spray. I have done it before as well. It's just tragic.
Yeah. So they're saying the tracks were from an adult grizzly, and at least one cub in the area. But yeah, I mean, situations like this, stories like this, yeah, we're not going to like pick on the person or say, oh, I would have done this. Because a lot of times that's what these kind of stories turn into in the community, which is kind of stupid. It's really just a tale of, well, the moral of the story is always carry bear spray. Just period. Like
also, it's, what was I going to say?
I don't know. We'll come back to that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I guess a reminder of what to do if you do see a grizzly. Use your bear spray. Hopefully you have it. And if you don't, grizzlies, you need to play dead. So if one charges you, then you need to drop down to the ground, hope that it thinks that you're not a threat, lay face down, cover your neck and kind of head area with your hands to try to protect some of those vital pieces, and then spread out your legs to make yourself really hard to flip over, because the bear may try to push you around a bit. So you want to stay face down as long as possible to protect all those organs, that are kind of vital to survival. So remember that the next time you are hiking in grizzly bear country. Also, these things tend to be sensationalized. Like, everybody wants to read about bear attacks or shark attacks and stuff like that, but they are incredibly rare. Attacks and especially deaths. Like, these happen so rarely. If you're talking pure statistics, and how many people a year are hiking and how many people actually get attacked by a bear, incredibly rare. So don't let that be a reason to not go outside because you're afraid of bears. You're almost guaranteed not going to be attacked by a bear. Bring your bear spray anyway, because if you do find one, that's a really good way to not be attacked by it.
So before we go on to our next topic, I actually wanted to bring up the mood a little bit and talk about mountain biking. Because
I love mountain biking.
We, in the past year, we've actually been living in Northwest Arkansas, which, if you don't know, is the mountain bike capital of the U.S. There's just a crazy number of trails, just amazing trails.
Officially the world.
Of the world.
Of the mountain bike capital of the world, I think.
So I just wanted to briefly talk about getting into mountain biking and where we're at now, where we are at the place where it's time to upgrade.
We started small.
Yes.
And now it's time to get big.
So if you're thinking about getting into mountain biking, do not feel like you need to buy a full suspension
$6,000
bike.
Absolutely not.
So if you've gone and checked out a mountain bike park and you see all these amazing bikes these people are, riding around on.
I mean, you can do that if you're independently
can.
wealthy and you're pretty sure you're going to like it. I mean, knock yourself out. I am not independently wealthy.
But if you think you want to get into it, first of all, try to find a place where you can rent a bike first. I would recommend renting a hardtail if you can, which just means that there is a suspension on the front of the bike and not the rear of the bike. And the reason I would recommend that is because if you decide to buy a bike, you're going to be really sad if you go from renting a full suspension to
buying a hardtail. It will be very sad.
But you can just get so far on a hardtail, and I think people underestimate hardtails. Like, we've done some pretty insane trails on a hardtail, and I've even done like little jumps and stuff. And part of that is just like getting comfortable with it and gaining a little bit of skill. I am not that skilled by any stretch of the imagination, but I have been able to do like little tiny jumps and just drops and stuff like that. But now that we've been doing it for a year, and so we know we like it.
We like it a lot.
We're at the point where we're like, okay, we're starting to get to bigger and better trails that on a hardtail are just extremely painful. And for us, that was kind of the point where it was like, okay, like we can do these trails, but they suck on a hardtail.
Very bumpy ride.
So I think it's time to upgrade. And we're not going to be those people that upgrade to $6,000 mountain bikes. And honestly, for most people, if you ride trails and you just want to do a little bit of everything, you're probably in the same spot we are.
A little green, maybe a little blue, some paved paths.
Maybe some blacks, but just roll through all the crazy stuff. Roll past it. You really only need to spend between like $2,000 and, I don't know, maybe not even $4,000 on a bike.
You can get away with less, of course, but all the experts we've talked to have said like anything under two grand is going to quickly decline in quality, and at that point you would probably be better off getting a really nice hardtail instead of a like subpar full suspension.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's kind of where we're at on mountain biking. If you happen to be in the Northwest Arkansas area, throw us a line, and maybe we can mountain bike together sometime.
For sure. And don't buy gear you can't afford just because you want it.
Please do not go into debt for gear.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Save up your money.
Save up your money.
Be responsible.
Be responsible.
Or put it on a credit card and pay it off immediately so that,
you get all those airline miles.
You get all those airline miles.
Also, don't be irresponsible with credit cards.
Yeah, that's bad. But all that to say, we are going to be adding more mountain bike content to the channel and to our website, which I'll plug real quick. So if you're watching us on YouTube a lot and you don't know about our website, terradrift.com, there's all kinds of written content that you won't see anything about on YouTube. For instance, what's something we did just on the website recently?
I mean, sometimes it's like gift guides. Those are only on terradrift.com for various holidays, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas. that sort of thing. Holiday gift guides.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll do roundups.
Like our favorite barefoot shoes or cat hole shovels. I don't think we've done that one yet, but
not on cat hole shovel. No, we did 10 favorite pieces of outdoor gear for summer adventures of all kinds. One article that I thought was really useful, we did 3 nights in Grand Teton National Park backpacking, and we did a nice little video just showing the experience. But if you go to the website and look at the article we published, we talk about how we got our permits for backpacking.
A lot of more specific notes to help you plan and recreate, a similar adventure.
Yep, the routes and all of the equipment we used and so on and so forth. So definitely check that out. Go to terradrift.com. And when you get there at the top of the page, you'll see a little subscribe box that you can plug your email into. And you can get not only our latest articles and videos in your email, but there will also be all this week's gear deals. So anyone that's having a sale, whether it's REI or
Black Diamond, Nara.
I'm trying to think of some other ones.
Backcountry,
yeah. So sometimes they have exclusive deals for their partners like us. So we'll plug a little, discount code into those emails that you can use. So it's really worth signing up for. So terradrift.com, throw in your email. All right, with that, let's move on to our next topic.
I want to talk about cairns. Cairns. Yes. Are a thing. Yep. And a thing that has been talked about more recently, including by the national parks. So a cairn, which is spelled CAIRNS, cairn, is a stack of rocks. Okay, so a stack of rocks can then vary, right? So some people do rock stacking as like a meditative art, and that's fine, that's cool, whatever, if you're into that. But cairns in the outdoors can also signal where the trail is. If there's no physical dirt path to follow. So like in Arches National Park, right, where you're just sort of hiking over rocks and boulders and fields of stone, where there's not a dirt path that you can just be like, oh, here I am on the trail, and you can't just hammer a marker into the soil because there isn't any. National Park staff mark the way with stacks of rocks or cairns. And so there's been this debate recently about what the heck to do when you see a cairn in a park. And the answer is, that depends. It's not a black and white issue, because if you are in Arches or Canyonlands or I've hiked in Big Bend, Big Bend, but what am I thinking of? Enchanted Rock State Park, like in Texas, near Fredericksburg, where there's not a dirt trail, so the path is being marked with these cairns. If you're in one of those parks, leave the cairns where they are. Don't restack them. Don't kick them over. Don't stack more rocks near them. Just leave it be. If you are in other parks where there are paths and trails that have markers, or whether that's like a wooden sign or a metal post or a blaze on a tree, do not stack cairns. And if you see them, some parks will actually tell you to go ahead and kick them over, because they're not doing any good, and they may actually lead people off the trail into a direction they're not supposed to be traveling. So cairns can actually be really dangerous and get people lost. So definitely whatever you do, do not stack cairns in parks and along trails. Don't do it in rivers. Do it, I guess, in your backyard, maybe like a local park. If you're hanging out in like a city or county park that has like a nice creek and you just want to sit for a while and like stack some rocks, do be careful. Some biologists recommend not doing it ever at all because you can be moving rocks from animals' habitats, kind of like messing up their homes. And then when they fall, they could then crush small animals and insects like salamanders and things like that.
Yep.
So ideally, we just don't stack rocks in the great outdoors.
Yep.
Certainly not in the wilderness, not in state parks. But if you are curious whether or not you're supposed to go ahead and knock them over at like a national park or leave them be, just ask in the visitor center. Don't skip the visitor center when you visit a state or national park. Like, go in there, ask some questions, meet the rangers, ask for recommendations, and like look at the park paper and stuff. There's so much information in there on what to do in different situations. But yeah, cairns, don't stack rocks.
Yep. Unless they and don't knock them over unless they explicitly tell you to do so.
Correct.
And even then, that just seems confusing to me. But next topic: should you drink pee to stay alive?
Oh, good Lord, I hope not.
And the answer is no. I'm referencing another article from Backpacker from
Jesse Krebs. Oh no, wait, I was looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Oh no. The authors,
reference.
yes,
Okay.
The authors of the article speak with Jesse Krebs, who is a survival expert.
Yes. So they don't they don't just talk about drinking pee. They talk about firecraft and the sucking venom out when you get bitten by a venomous creature, snake.
Long story short, don't.
Yeah, that is also a myth. That I don't know. They put that in movies a lot for some reason.
And books.
And books, and I don't really know where that came from.
I don't know either, but it's wrong. Don't suck out venom. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Again, you should watch our outdoor myths video because we go over a lot of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to say much about that. I'll link to the article if you want to take a look at it.
But long story short, don't drink your pee.
But yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. No, don't do that.
Don't drink your pee.
I'll add something to that. Never get into a situation where you have to think about drinking your pee to stay alive. Just don't get out into that. Don't get into that situation in the first place.
We're back to hydration.
Yeah, hydration. There you go.
Bring more water than you think you need.
All right. Let's see. Before we move on to our next topic, let me see if there's anything else I wanted to plug. So let's talk about Backpacking 101 course.
We have one.
Yes, we have one. So this was a lot of work to put together. We launched a Backpacking 101 course last year, and I think there are 17 lessons. Is that right?
I mean, maybe including like the intro and congratulations, you did it lesson.
No, I think it's 17 like total, like besides the outros.
I wrote them.
Yeah.
And filmed them.
Intro,
and I don't
intro.
remember.
So it's a lot of content. It's very in depth. It's designed, as the name implies, for beginners.
But also people who maybe just haven't done it in a while or haven't been backpacking solo and maybe would like to brush up on some skills before you head out there by yourself if you're used to relying on somebody else who maybe is more experienced than you.
Yeah. So
Also, it's highly entertaining, just FYI, because it's me.
So we had that for sale for a long time, and maybe it was because we didn't put a lot into advertising.
Probably. We're very bad marketers.
But let's just say it didn't do as well as we had hoped. And so we made the decision.
Since we put all that work into it.
Yeah.
And it's so great.
We made the decision to put it online on our channel for free. So right now you can get, I'm going to look it up because it's at least a couple hours long.
Oh, for sure. I mean, each lesson I think was an average of like 8 to 12 minutes.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's 2 hours and 45 minutes.
There you go.
And there are 17 chapters. Talks about trip planning, choosing your equipment,
sustainable gear,
how to set up camp, water and food, health and safety,
hydration.
Basically everything you need to know to start backpacking. So I'm going to link to that in the show notes so you can check it out. On top of that, if you want to get more out of it, and you can go to our Patreon, sign up for Patreon, and we will give you the supplementary materials, and that includes gear recommendations, discounts, packing lists,
helpful links,
and also access to our private backpacking group page on Facebook. I know Facebook groups isn't like the most popular thing for some people. Some people don't even like to be on Facebook. That's just where it is at the moment. If that changes, we'll let you know. But we have that group on Facebook. You'll get access to that when you sign up for Patreon. We'll link to that in the show notes. And it's a really great program. Like, you should definitely watch it. All the chapters,
I think it's great,
have timestamps. So if you're like, oh, I already know everything there is to know about this subject, you can just skip to the next one. So
very handy stuff.
Yeah. So with that out of the way, let's move on to some of our recent posts. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying we did just write a barefoot boot comparison.
Yeah, tell me about that, because that was all you doing those two. This is a video and a post?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am the barefoot enthusiast of the group here. And of course, like, when we say barefoot, we mean barefoot style shoes. I don't live in a place where going like trail running barefoot is an excellent option. It's very rocky and sticky and stuff like that here. And by sticky, I mean lots of sticks.
That's, yeah, one way to put it. Yeah.
So barefoot shoes are the next best thing, and I am obsessed. I've been all in on barefoot shoes for a couple of years now. Josh a little bit less so, although he's a fan of a couple of different ones.
Yeah,
but
sure.
If I can't be barefoot, I want like to feel as little like my feet are encased in blocks of fabric and sweaty grossness, as little as possible. So I hike in barefoot sandals. I trail run in barefoot sandals. I just went backpacking in barefoot hiking boots for the first time, which, well, I'm not going to tell you too much about that because we got a whole video on it coming soon.
What?
Woo! But we tested out some barefoot hiking boots, the Zero Scrambler Mid and the Vivo Barefoot Magna Light SG, which stands for soft ground. And we compare those and how they're different and which one has a more barefoot feel and which ones we liked better. I did take one of them on a recent backpacking trip and not the other one, so you may just have to watch some content, see which one that was. But bottom line, love hiking in barefoot boots. And if your feet are conditioned for it, and I am saying do not buy a pair of barefoot hiking boots and then go hit a 15-mile trail. Okay, do not do that. I've been wearing barefoot shoes in like everyday life almost exclusively for over a year, almost 2 years, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm fine hiking and trail running in these barefoot shoes, but there is a transition period. So highly endorse barefoot shoes. Absolutely. But don't just like dive headfirst into it. You're going to need some like conditioning your feet. So start small and, transition slowly. But I do, I am like highly always recommending the journey to transition, because free those dang feet. They'll thank you for it.
Yeah, and I would say from personal experience, like there are barefoot shoes that I really like hiking in, but as far as transitioning goes, I would say get a barefoot shoe that you think you'll like. Try it on in an outdoor store or whatever, and go out and hike a trail with that shoe, but have your normal hiking shoes or running shoes or whatever in your backpack just in case.
Or just start with short trails, like go out for 2 miles.
Yeah, because I've tried really thin ultra barefoot sandals that just destroyed my foot, and I had to switch back, and I made the mistake of not taking other shoes with me, and so I had to walk in those shoes, and it was just not good. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna transition, and I think you should, just take backup shoes.
It's not a bad idea, especially when you first start. But I think we'll do a whole video just on hiking in barefoot shoes soon. I think, because it seems like something you guys would enjoy, and I've written about it quite a bit for other publications like Well and Good and Popular Science. Talked to experts about it, so I think we'll talk about that and who can wear them and how long it takes and how to transition and why they're great and that sort of thing. So stay tuned, and we'll do that.
So we're kind of winding down here. I think we'll probably just hit 1 or 2 more subjects. I did want to say this podcast will be, as I'm sure you know because you're watching it, this will be posted on the primary Terradrift channel on YouTube, and it'll be posted elsewhere as a podcast. There's a possibility that we'll be launching a secondary Terradrift channel for clips of the show, just broken down into subject matter. We'll have more news about that in the future, but if we launch it, I'll put a link to it in the show notes so that you can go subscribe. And then whenever you're scrolling through, shorts or anything like that, you'll also see clips of our conversations. So if you miss one of our shows, which you shouldn't, because you should be subscribed and have those notifications turned on, huh? Yeah? You can subscribe to that channel, and you'll see highlights from the shows. So with that, let's talk briefly about this tent that I don't know if I quite understand this tent. It's a tent that we just reviewed. It is a tent from Big Agnes, and
it's a tent I'm not sure what there is to not understand.
Well, I'll tell you why. Thank you very much. So it's the Big Agnes Crag Lake. There's a 2 and a 3, so it's a 2-person, and there's the 3-person version. And Big Agnes is calling this and let me preface by saying Big Agnes is a brand that's known for their ultralight tents, their ultralight backpacking tents.
We do have and have had several of their ultralight backpacking tents and their backpacks. I love their backpacks. I love my Tiger Wall 2-person ultralight backpacking tent.
That tent is fantastic.
Great tent.
Now, for some reason, they have their ultralight category of tents. For some reason, they're calling this tent Superlight. Now, if you ask me, if you're putting Superlight next to ultralight, which one is gonna sound like it's lighter?
I think it could go either way, but I hear super, and I'm like, oh, it's super. It's like the powerful super one. I don't know, but ultra, right? I don't know what the root word is there.
Yeah.
But yes, I see super, and I do wonder. Wait, is that lighter than ultralight, or not as light as ultralight?
Now, to be clear, Superlight isn't actually in the name of the tent, but it is in all of their marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And how much do you think a Superlight tent would weigh?
I would think a Superlight tent would need to be at least under 3 pounds.
Okay. So,
but that's my opinion. I'm an ultralighter, and so a 2-pound tent is even more ideal.
So the minimum trail weight of this tent is 3 pounds, 12 ounces. Yeah.
And that's a minimum trail weight, by the way, is usually no footprint and only as many stakes, I think, as you absolutely need to pitch it.
Mm-hmm.
So minimum trail weight can be a little tricky from what I've seen. Like sometimes that doesn't include stakes at all because this is a freestanding tent.
Yeah.
So you technically don't need any stakes for it to be the correct shape and to maintain its shape.
Right. So that's the minimum trail weight. The packaged weight, which I think that means
stuff sacks, stakes.
Well, I'm wondering if it even means does that mean in the box?
No.
No. Okay. Is 4 pounds, 4 ounces. Which is not, that's not even
I would call it light. If you're talking backpack, I would call it tolerably light.
I would say it's standard is what I would say. I would not call it light in any stretch of the imagination.
It's pretty close to standard. I mean, that said, a lot of good quality backpacking tents are like 5 pounds for a 2-person tent because they're roomy. They've got a lot of features, burly zippers, and to be fair, the more ultralight you get, usually the more functionality you're giving up, and the more versatility you're giving up, which is not what this tent is doing. This tent is very versatile, which is why it weighs more. It's also very durable.
It has great features.
That material it's made of is I was not afraid to pitch it for a couple of nights without a footprint.
No, it should be very sturdy for that weight. It is made out of recycled materials, which is one of the reasons why I think it's so heavy. But the fact remains, I don't know why they chose the word Superlight.
That's the only thing you're getting hung up on.
That's the only thing I'm getting hung up on.
It's a decent tent. It's a good tent. And also, I love the fact that you can pitch it with just the fly and the footprint. So it could be even lighter if you just take the poles, the footprint, and the fly.
Yep.
And you're not going to have protection from mosquitoes at that point, which is why we didn't test it with just the footprint and the fly, because we were testing it in the summer in Grand Teton National Park and kind of some surrounding areas. So very mosquito-y, not comfortable for not having an enclosed, safety net.
Yeah. So I would say at that weight, it is $349.95,
Which is a good price
which
for
is a
a
good
tent.
price for a big Agnes for sure.
This durable,
Yeah.
and also this versatile.
So I would say, if you're ready to spend a little bit of money on a tent, this is not a bad buy because the cheaper you get, the heavier tents are going to get.
For sure.
So
And the less durable. Like
Yeah.
quality goes down fast when tent prices decrease.
So
usually.
if that's kind of the price point that you're looking at, that you're able to spend, this is not a bad buy.
No.
I'll put a link to that video and the tent in the show notes if you want to
Josh
check it out.
really just needs it to not be called a Superlight tent. And he'd be fully on board.
It's just weird marketing. Like, marketing drives me nuts sometimes. I don't know.
Big Agnes does do like weird because they've got ultralight, they've got superlight. What are some of their other weight categories for tents? They do have weird ones that you're kind of like, wait, what am I doing? Which tent am I looking at? So ultralight, backpacking, bike packing, car camping, I guess. Click on backpacking and see what happens on the Big Agnes website here. Okay, so over here you've got
Well, that's going to
different
show
filters. Okay, that's
weight.
pounds.
Yeah, that's...
Well, I don't know.
Their yeah, I don't know what their... I don't think they have a lot of different terminologies.
Yeah, maybe that's just it. Maybe
I
I'm
think
just
it's
thinking,
ultralight. They have Superlight now with their... that tent for some reason.
But yes, they're making a lot of tents that are made out of recycled materials that are solution dyed, which requires a lot less water to do the dyeing. So they, as a brand, they're making a lot of more responsible or products out of more responsible materials. So that's really nice.
It's just ultralight and superlight. So their Superlight is going to be their more affordable line of tents, and then their ultralight is going to be their actually lightweight,
They're ultralight,
more expensive backpacking tents. So
Yes. But for those of us who are constantly trying to get our base weight down below 10 pounds, you got to pick your tent wisely.
Yeah. Well, with that, I think the only other thing I wanted to talk about is you're about to go on a trip to Greenland.
I am. I'm very excited about it.
So,
Can you tell by my face? That's a joke. My face, if you're not watching and you don't know me personally, my face does not get excited. When I am excited, you probably will not know it. Unless I'm like really, really excited.
I mean,
like,
you'll be excited in the moment.
Yes, I mean,
sure.
like when I'm feeding wallabies and kangaroos out of my hands, like in Australia, then you'll see it on my face that I'm just like at the pinnacle of
that
joy.
is a thing. Yeah.
It's a thing that I have done, and it's wonderful. At a sanctuary in Tasmania, when I see if I see the Northern Lights while I'm in Greenland, you will see then the excitement on my face. But otherwise, my face doesn't read. I'm not an excitable person. We'll just say that. Anyway, going to Greenland with Hurtigruten Cruises, which is a more sustainable cruise line. Now, I'm especially excited about this because I hate cruises. Which I realize is a weird thing to say. I've only been on one, to be fair, in my whole life, but I hated it. And the more that I've learned about cruising in my time as a sustainability journalist and travel journalist, the more I dislike them because they are so unsustainable and
They're not great.
They're not great. A highly irresponsible way to travel. And maybe we'll do a video or podcast or something going more in depth into the cruise industry. But I think I do have a friend who has written about it, Ketty. I will link to an article she has done, sort of like a deep dive into the cruise industry and all of those things. So you should definitely check out her article about that if you're interested in learning more. But suffice it to say, I don't like cruises. I don't enjoy being stuck on a boat. I don't like how unsustainable they are. But Herdegruten claims to be different and is very adventure focused, like outdoor adventure focused. So I will be on a small ship cruising through the fjords of Greenland for about 13 days.
It's a long time.
Yeah, I'm going to be on a boat, and Josh isn't coming with me.
I was not invited.
Josh was not invited. Sometimes, as a journalist, I get to go on things that Josh, they don't care enough about Terradrift yet.
They were probably like, you're not really bringing any value to the table, so...
They just don't realize what a great videographer you are, Josh.
Oh, is that it?
Basically,
oh, thank you so much.
What I assume is they just haven't looked at your stuff and realized how phenomenal you are.
If you want to look at the destinations playlist, which you'll find on the homepage of our Terradrift YouTube page, you can see some of the destinations that I have filmed.
Yes.
And some of them are very like episodic, like TV travel show-esque, and some of them are just like beauty shots of nature and things.
Let us know which ones you guys prefer.
Yeah, we're kind of experimenting with how to proceed with destinations because we want to do more of those.
So do you want the beauty shots? Do you just want to see all the pretty landscapes? Or do you want a little more information and like an inside look at what's happening and a chance to learn a little bit? Let us know.
Let us know in the chat.
Yeah.
If you like.
In the comments.
Yeah. But anyway.
So unfortunately Josh isn't going, but 13 days I will be out there exploring and kayaking in the Arctic Ocean. I will be above the Arctic Circle, so that's exciting. Never been that far north before, not quite. Got close, but haven't been. And learning, doing some citizen science programs, attending some onboard lectures about sustainability and Greenland and the general just like geology and landscape of the area, I presume. I'm looking forward to learning a lot. And it should be pretty fun. But I'm also going to be investigating what sustainability actually looks like on a cruise that claims to be sustainable. So we're gonna dig in a little bit and see what we find. Mm-hmm.
So are you? So they said they had Wi-Fi on the boat, right? So what does that mean? Like, are you going to be able to post while you're there, or are you going to wait until you get back and post? Or?
I think I will be able to post little bits here and there. Okay. I'm not expecting to have awesome internet. I am told I will have Wi-Fi. I won't be able to stream anything, so I'm going to need to download all of my entertainment before I depart. But I keep an eye on Instagram. Definitely, you will be seeing some cool visuals that I will post there. So make sure to follow Terradrift on Instagram at Terradrift, so that you can kind of follow along on that adventure and kind of see what a sustainable Herdegruten cruise to the fjords of East Greenland looks like.
Very cool. So with that, I think that's all we got for you today. So
we should stop talking. Yeah,
we should stop talking. So if you enjoyed us rambling on like this, let us know if we should continue doing podcasts. Maybe we'll continue doing them anyway, to your chagrin. I don't know. But again, everything we talked about, we'll put links in the show notes. If you want to follow us elsewhere, again, check out terradrift.com. We're on Twitter or X now. I don't know if I even want to be on Twitter anymore.
I never wanted to be on Twitter, to be fair.
We're on Threads now, apparently.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. All at Terradrift. So check those out. Follow us on there.
There are too many social networks. I can't.
Yeah, there really are. It's really stupid. Oh, we're on TikTok. So that's fun.
I guess.
That's not really our audience, but we are on TikTok. So if you are on TikTok and you want to see silly videos of us goofing off, then you can be on TikTok, I guess. Follow us on TikTok. So with that, thank you for watching or listening. We'll see you next time.
Wander on.